First Class Productions.
After their breakout success with Crash Bandicoot on the Sony PlayStation, developer Naughty Dog were ready to work on something new for the next generation console, the PlayStation 2. Sure enough, just in time for Christmas of 2001, Jak Daxter, the Precursor Legacy dropped as a PS2 exclusive. It drew a rabid fanbase and spawned sequels and spin-offs in the upcoming years. Since then, HD versions have shown up for the PS3 and PS4 in 2012 and 2017 respectively. My dad bought our PS2 in 2003. Among the 6 games he had bought by the time I was visiting him was this weird looking game. At first I didn't know what to make of it, and it took me some time to warm up to it. In the years since, it has grown to become one of my most beloved 3D platformers of all time. I've completed it more times than I can count. But quite frankly, it has been like a decade since I last touched it. Can it still impress me after all this time? It's 23 years old after all. That's what we're about to find out as I revisit a game I already reviewed in 2010 as part of my Month of Naughty Dog series. Let's see if the first Jak Daxter still got what it takes.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom reviews.
As you would imagine, this game stars Jak and Daxter, 2 teenagers. They take a speedboat to Misty Island, even though they were specifically told not to. Okay, you little brats. They witness 2 sorcerers or whatever commanding a bunch of lurkers to do some nasty stuff. Daxter then stumbles over a dark eco canister which turns red as soon as Jak picks it up. He chucks it at an attacking lurker, but the blowback knocks Daxter into a hideous eco pool. It turns him into this, an Otzel. In other words, a weaselly otter. Back at their village, they visit Samos the Green Sage, who's pissed at them for disobeying him. Blah blah. The little brats suffer his wrath for a while before he gets to the point. Turns out the only one who can turn Daxter back to his normal form is Gold, the Dark Eco Sage, who lives far to the north.
Far, far to the north.
Samos notes that the other 3 sages haven't kept their teleport gates open for a while. His daughter Kira, who both our protagonists seem to have the hots for, explains that they can use her A-graph zoomer to pass over the fire canyon, but it needs power cells. The fetch quests are in sight. Thus, our adventure begins. Geyser Rock acts as a training area where we get to learn about collectibles, power-ups, and Jak's moveset. Even though this game is called Jak and Daxter, you never actually get to play as the latter. The fuzzy guy sits on Jak's shoulder the entire time, making snarky comments and sometimes actually helpful tips. Samos and Kira talk to you through a communicator, so you're not entirely on your own.
These floating egg-shaped things are precursor orbs.
Jak's moveset is quite diverse. He can jump and double jump. In terms of combat, there's the sliding punch, the aerial uppercut, the jumping dive, and the spin kick, which can also be used as a trick to stay airborne longer. Then you can crouch, crawl, roll, and even leap after rolling. This also doubles as an attack. Last but not least, he can swim and even dive for a little stretch. He can't drown because he swims back to the surface automatically. Let's talk collectibles. The eggs are called orbs and they're currency in this world. There are a total of 2,000 of them in the entire game, so make sure to collect all of them. The most important items are power cells because they're mandatory to get through the game. Collecting one of those triggers a short scene where they celebrate the discovery. So iconic. Then there are scout flies. There are 7 of them in each level, and the reward for picking them up is a power cell. That's it in terms of collectibles. Throughout the world, you'll find different sorts of eco. Green eco is for your health. Collect 50 small ones or a large one and you get another hit point. Can't get more than 4 though. Blue eco makes you faster, breaks boxes, draws collectibles towards you, opens precursor doors and activates platforms. Weird powers, I know. Time is limited however. Small clusters give you 5 seconds and eco vents give you 20. The small ones respawn when your eco meter runs dry. I think that pretty much covers the basics. Geyser Rock makes for a short but fun little intro. Everything is explained well and the dialogue isn't annoying. Also, I dig the island setting. After collecting every power cell, we're allowed back home. Samos gives us a quest and throws us out.
Get out of here!
You can go and talk to him and Kira a few more times to get more information and admire this beautiful reference to Crash Bandicoot. Now it's time to romp through Sandover Village, the first of 3 main hubs. Usually the hubs have 3 levels, but in this case you've got a choice between 2, the beach and the jungle. Can't go to Misty Island yet, but I'd advise you to check out the village first anyway. Of course there are collectibles to find, but you can also talk to villagers that give you quests. The mayor wants us to unlock the eco beam in the jungle and also asks for a donation of 90 orbs. So does the explorer, who's Jack's uncle by the way.
Everyone wants something from you and they're not shy about asking.
The sculptor asks us to find his muse on Misty Island, and the old birdwatcher wants us to push an orphaned egg down a cliff.
Sure, not like I have anything else to do with my life.
In each village you'll find oracles who want 120 orbs for each power cell.
Present to me 120 precursor orbs for each power cell I contain.
That's a lot of cash, man. The only task we can complete right now is the one from the farmer. He wants us to herd his yak cows back into their pen. Kind of reminds me of the cow legs from Spyro 2. Short and simple, folksy work. We can go to Fire Canyon, which leads us to the second village, but Kira reminds us that we don't have enough power cells. Okay, fine, now leave. Why doesn't the communicator go away? And why's the music gone? Something's wrong here. Might as well kill myself. Contrary to Crash, you thankfully don't have limited lives anymore. That's so 1998. I've done everything there is to do.
It doesn't matter which order you choose for jungle or beach, but you can save some time by picking one over the other.
So let's start with the mysterious Forbidden Jungle. Why is it forbidden? I don't know, but maybe it's because it's overrun by snakes, lurkers, jungle fish, and deadly vines? Can't get rid of the vines. Yet. The yellow boxes contain dark eco. Don't touch them. This is an open area where you can tackle the different tasks in any order you like.
Why not start with one of the most memorable moments in the entire series?
The fisherman will only let us use his boat to get to Misty Island if we can catch 200 pounds of fish. Green fish are 1 pound and yellow 5. Miss 20 pounds and you lose. There are also poisonous eels. You can't even catch one of them, it'll spoil the haul. When I played this the first time, it was kind of frustrating because you need good reflexes to master it. Today I made it on the first try. I love it, especially some of the lines from the fisherman, who's voiced by none other than the Dark Knight himself, Kevin Conroy.
Here comes a big one.
After the challenge, he just laughs. Forever. Seriously, he never stops. I admire your enthusiasm, but this is overboard, dude. Just for fun, I checked out the other languages, and yeah, every laugh is different. I have a soft spot for the German version because he has a Hamburg accent that I find amusing. In the center of the map is a temple. Getting to the top requires blue eco, and inside you need to jump across moving platforms. This eventually leads you to a blue vent switch, which unlocks all of the previously locked blue eco vents in the game. This means we now get to use the Precursor launchers. Whoa! This is awesome!
His ankles must be killing him.
The temple ends with the first boss fight, the Dark Eco Plant. It doesn't take much. Kill the lurkers when their thorns retract and then jump onto the leaves to damage its head. Why the heck would this plant be so stupid to create platforms for Jak? More than once, I might add.
Whatever, don't think about this stuff too much. Call it game logic.
On previous playthroughs I was often missing a few orbs. I searched high and low and couldn't find them at first. Now of course I know that you need to jump on the dead plant's head to make orbs appear. Sneaky game designers. At last there's the eco beams the mayor was babbling about. Destroy the mirror to make a wooden pole rise up. Now we need to redirect the light to the next mirror. Do this a few times and the mayor's windmill is working again. All in all, Forbidden Jungle has fairly simple quests and a modest-sized map to explore. It's easy to miss stuff, but it shouldn't get frustrating unless you missed the ones from the dead plant. While passing through the village, I paid off the oracle and got my reward from the mayor.
I'd say we've earned a relaxing time at the beach, wouldn't you agree?
Well, throw that idea out the window, because on Sentinel Beach we get shot at by some cannon on a tower. hate when that happens. At least we can use it to our advantage and blow up these boxes. As you would expect, this place is heavy on water and some of the orbs require us to dive.
Word of advice though, and I want you to listen to me very carefully. Do not, and I repeat, not swim too far into the ocean. Thank me later.
At one point we need the uppercut to punch up some poles so that we can get to higher platforms. Well, one of them doesn't necessarily require it if you're skilled. Let's round up some power cells, and that means a few special tasks. First, unblock the eco harvesters. These can then be used to refill our energy. Then there's the egg.
Push the egg off the cliff. Oh, good. Now push it. Oh, gently now.
God damn it, lady. Will you shut up already?
Doesn't look safe up there.
Is rolling an egg off a cliff really such a smart idea?
Here goes nothing.
Careful. Easy does it.
Aw, what a cute birdie.
No, no. No, 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 no.
Thankfully, it's not the last we see of this so-called flut. Speaking of birds, this pelican stole the power cell from right under our noses. Let's kick some pelican butt. It spits out the power cell and now we have to snatch it back before it gets stolen again. This also used to be tricky for me, but not anymore. One of the weirder quests has us chase a bunch of seagulls until they... well, see for yourself. I have so many questions. Last but not least, we used the unlocked blue eco vents to get up to the tower and smack the senses out of the cannon dude.
And that's why we visited Forbidden Jungle first, kids.
I'm missing 4 more orbs. Probably in the water. Oh god. What's this? Oh no, no! I will never have a good night's sleep after this. Told you water is dangerous. Sentinel Beach is probably the simplest level in the game. Sure, there are a bunch of aggressive enemies and whatnot, but mostly it's a fairly relaxing time and it's easy to navigate. Smooth sailing. In the village we pay off our greedy leech of an uncle. Then it's time to put the fisherman's boat to use. In good spirits we make our way over to Misty Island. In each of the 3 chapters there's one level that's darker and more difficult than the other 2, like a challenge level. This is one of them. For once the enemies are tougher and sometimes they take more than one hit. Oh hey, there's the muse. Catching it can be an ordeal even though it doesn't look that fast. It requires us to make bridges out of large bones. They act as shortcuts. It's just going in circles so you'll eventually figure it out and catch up to that slippery little monster. Red Eco shows up here for the first time. It makes you twice as strong, which is especially handy against large lurkers. After a while we enter some sort of arena and get ambushed. Tons of douchebags and one a-hole blasting away with a cannon. Damn, when does it stop?
While you're down there, could you rub my feet?
Oh look, this is where Daxter fell into the pool at the beginning. Ah, the memories. The thing I probably love the most about this game is the zoomer. It's a vehicle that can be used to cross water, lava and so on. In this closed off section we need to destroy balloon lurkers without touching the mines and collect some stuff. The best part is going full speed and pressing L1 to jump off the edge. Always gets my adrenaline flowing. Then we need to avoid barrels or logs while running up this walkway.
Is this Jak and Daxter or freaking Donkey Kong?
Give Jak a mustache and I'm sold. Up here we can use the cannon to break the boxes below. Honestly, this wasn't too brutal of a challenge. In fact, I had a great time. That doesn't change the fact that I struggled a lot the first few times I played it. It's a nice change of pace, but now I'm ready for a gentler, happier setting again. We take the boat back to the village, pay the mayor and bring the muse back to the sculpture. That muse looks weird, like Marsupilami from another dimension. Anyway, we're caught up on all the objectives you can accomplish up to this point. Off to Fire Canyon it is. Here are the basics. Use the zoomer to get across the lava. This thing overheats and blows up quickly, so make sure to smash into the blue balloons to make the meter on the bottom left cool down. Makes me sweat just thinking about this part. Crashing into lurkers bounces you high in the air, which slows down the rising meter slightly. This is over within just a few minutes, but it takes some luck or past experience to get all the orbs and scout flies in one go. I usually take my time collecting everything and risk dying. Because the level is so short and you don't lose your items when you die, it doesn't really bother me to restart. A cool way to transit between villages and mix some racing mechanics into the adventure. Our heroes arrive in Rock Village, the wrecked home of the blue sage who's gone missing. Time to investigate what happened. We turn on the teleport gate in his hut. Samos then requests that we cure some plants infected with dark eco, and Kira finds out that a bunch of robbers have stolen a power cell from the blue sage. Whatever. Yeah, so the story here is that a giant monster called Klaww throws flaming boulders at the village.
Bad monster.
Shame on you.
We meet several characters that give us more quests and ask for orbs. The geologist asks us to chase a bunch of lightning moles back into their underground home. The gambler wears a barrel instead of pants. That tells you a lot about his financial position. He bet on the crying warrior next to him to defeat Klaww, which he obviously failed at. His new master plan is to bet on us to win a race. Sure thing, brother. The warrior fixes a bridge for 90 orbs, which is a reasonable investment. We need 45 power cells in order to fight Klaww. Already have 38. We can't pick up everything in this village just yet, so we're going to the first level of this chapter. Damn it, fish, calm down. Precursor Basin is a driving stage with lots of stuff to do. Actually, there's so much going on at once, it's hard to focus on one thing. That's why I went piece by piece. My first mission was to collect everything, because all these orbs and stuff would distract me otherwise. Then I started the purple Precursor Ring challenge. Drive through rings before they disappear. That wasn't so bad. Oh god, please don't fall into the box. You dare disobey me? At least I don't have to fly through the rings again. Next we cure the plants, get green eco and pass over them. The problem is that they grow back after a few seconds, so hurry. This can be irritating to say the least, but again, I didn't struggle this time. Here we find the 4 red lightning moles.
Yes, it's a mole patrol, and no, it's not even a weird mission by Jak and Daxter standards. Trust me.
We don't need to actually catch them, but follow them until they get back into their holes. Sometimes they just run past it. Don't you want a nice and warm home? Other moles would kill for it, I suppose. The 4 purple lurkers are the robbers Kira was talking about earlier. Herding them can be frustrating, so mastering the controls is essential. Time to race. Beat the track in under 45 seconds. I don't think I've ever failed at this because there's not much stopping you from blasting through. There's only one thing left. Blue rings. This one's far more challenging than the pink counterpart. My advice is to not mindlessly blaze through because they're not always in plain sight. Sometimes they're just around the corner, so it's best to take a second to check the surroundings. Don't take too much time though. Almost at the end. No! Ah, that was so unnecessary. Yep, one mistake and you have to repeat the whole thing. Made it on my second try. What can I say? Precursor Basin ranks as the best level in the game in my humble opinion. It's just a blast to cruise around with the zoomer. I wish there were more stages like this. With the orbs in our pocket, we can pay off the Oracle and the Geologist. As we cross a bridge to this weird dome, we take an elevator underwater to the lost Precursor City. Right off the bat, I gotta say, this is the most stunning location in the game. It's kind of like BioShock a few years later, but less disturbing. Getting electrocuted is quite disturbing actually, so I might take that statement back. After a few timed challenges, we find platforms that rotate around each other when you stand on them. They're kind of hypnotic. For some reason, this has always fascinated me.
Well, better you than me.
Thanks, Dax. You're such a dear friend. Then some items get pumped through a pipe, but again we're on a time limit. These spinning douche wheels seem invincible at first, but you can dive onto them and knock them out. Here we need to jump on each platform to open a door. Only do it once though. Reminds me a bit of Spiral 1 and the waterfall, but a little more complex. Man, there's no shortage of ticking clocks in this level. The slide is one of my most cherished parts in the entire game. Avoid the dark eco boxes and be sure to collect everything. Not that hard, but it brings me childish joy. With the help of blue eco, Jak manages to rise parts of the underwater ruins to the surface. This allows us to snag another power cell in Rock Village. But we're not done yet, so let's head back down. There's yet another slide to keep us happy. I could do this all day. By grabbing a power cell on top of a platform switch, our heroes accidentally make the dark eco rise up in a flood. Run! Man, I love this stuff. Back up here, we slide down the slope yet again and leave this gorgeous place. Lost Precursor City is my favorite level along with the previous one, hands down. The blue tones along with the calming music really resonates with me. Having fun challenges along the way helps too. The gambler gives us a power cell for beating the course record earlier. And at last, we have enough orbs to pay him off. Buy some pants, bro. Traversing the bridge we built earlier leads us to the next stage. As I said earlier, one level in each chapter is dark and dangerous. Boggy Swamp has you covered.
I used to think the level's name was Boggy Swamp.
It's rainy, smelly, and littered with swamp rats and swamp bats. The rats make me particularly nauseous because they spawn from their nests in waves. There's a huge zeppelin anchored by 4 boulders. The goal? Dislodge the 4 tethers in order to get rid of that nasty balloon. Yellow Eco lets us shoot fireballs. They're great because they auto-target enemies in boxes. Also, we can break boulders with them. These are the most hazardous environments yet, and everything wants you dead.
I was right behind you, Jak! Really, I was.
He ain't lying. Oh, look who we have here. The baby Flut.
We witnessed this fella's birth earlier and now we get to control it. Just like a controlling parent.
I am your father.
No, 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 no!
It can jump really far and also flap its wings to buy some airtime. Also, it can attack those nasty rats. It controls great and stands out as a high point for the swamp mission. Unfortunately, it's followed by one of the lesser minigames. From a first-person perspective, we need to protect the snacks from rats, standing guard against the hangry masses. Should only one of them reach a snack, it's over and we have to start from the beginning. This is stressful because you can't see all of them at once due to the narrow field of view. This time I made it on the first try, but as a child it brought me unforgettable torment. Look how happy the hip hog is. Now I feel like it was all worth it. There's the end. Please let me have all 200 orbs. Thank God.
Too often I've had to search for like one missing orb and I feel like this is one of the worst places where that could happen.
Overall, I don't think Boggy Swamp is as bad as I used to. The setting is unappealing by design. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be gross, but that unfortunately works against it in my case. Never been a fan and it feels like a chore sometimes to deal with the excessive rats. With everything done here, we talk to Kira, who lifts the boulder with her amazing machine. The newly opened path leads us to the second boss, Klaww. I gotta be honest, this is usually a simple boss fight. I don't know what happened this time, but he kicked my ass. I was extremely sloppy. The fight cycles through a few different phases. Avoid rocks by jumping between platforms on top of lava. Run towards Klaww and avoid more boulders. Spam him with fireballs. Retreat back to the platforms. Rinse and repeat. I feel embarrassed to admit that it took me almost 9 minutes to win. Decent boss fight and piss poor performance by yours truly. But don't give up on me just yet.
Get in, loser!
We're heading to the next village.
This leads us in our zoomer through Mountain Pass. The twist? Get to the end before the lurkers manage to detonate the pass with explosive barrels. Again, I first focused on the collectibles, but at this point it ain't possible to get everything just yet. The chase sequence is thrilling and chances are you'll blow up or fall to your death a bunch of times before you reach the goal. Probably my preferred take on these driving stages. That brings us to the third and final village, Volcanic Crater, home of the Red Sage. Surprise, he's also missing. These sages are so flaky. We activate the teleport gate yet again to get Samos and Kira over here. Out of nowhere, the 2 evil wizards from the beginning show up. It turns out they're the siblings Gol the Sage of Dark Eco and his older sister Maia, a sorceress. Both have been corrupted by Dark Eco's unholy influence and kidnapped the blue, red and yellow sages. That explains where the flakes went. I take back my complaints. Of course, the evil mages want to control the world.
Not like me, a morally upstanding adult. I only want to control bird children.
Wait a minute! That was Gol? The same Gol who's supposed to change me back? Gol is the guy trying to kill us? I'm doomed.
Of all the villages, this is the only one I can't connect with. Navigation is boring because you're stuck with just bridges and minecarts. The minecarts especially are slow and it's hard to stay awake. I know you can get across without them, but that's tedious too. On with our limited set of tasks. 2 miners sell 4 orbs. I can afford all of them. Too bad we get the same cutscene the first 3 times. That's just lazy. The skinny guy's voice reminds me of Big the Cat.
I love my little birdie.
Hold on, Froggy, I'm coming!
Then there's also another oracle, but I'm fresh out of orbs. There's one more power cell we can't get yet, so we'll return later. The gondola takes us to Snowy Mountain. Don't be fooled by the peaceful scenery. Trouble's lurking. In fact, you could call the place a cold, hard difficulty spike. I find it easier to get lost here than in most other places. Plus, enemies pop out of the snow, you've got giant rolling snowballs and precursor blockers that knock you back, which is especially nice on slippery ice. Did I rhyme again? Deactivating all 13 of them rewards us with a power cell. We also get one for defeating 3 lurker glacier troops. As much as I tend to dislike navigating this place, I dig the ice caverns. Flut makes another glamorous appearance. Welcome back, my child. It helps us jump across timed platforms. A short but sweet partnership. I remember how back in the day I was missing a few items. The moment of discovery when I noticed a cave entrance behind the trees is something I'll never forget.
Another thing I'll never forget?
These things. The jokes write themselves, so I'm not even going to bother.
We're staying classy today.
The Fallows Road leads us to a yellow vent switch that unlocks all the yellow eco vents we couldn't use earlier. I haven't mentioned the Lurker Fort yet. This place essentially offers a bunch of platforming to satisfy our collectathon needs. Pretty standard Spyro the Dragon stuff. What's left is a lurker-infested cave. Use that red eco to your advantage and pulverize them like a maniac. I was never the biggest fan of Snowy Mountain, but if I'm completely honest, it falls near the bottom of my running list. Missing an orb is a complete disaster. I was missing a single one. Look where it was. That's irritating. Anyway, we now have enough orbs to bribe the Oracle twice. Therefore, there's nothing left to buy. Finally. With the yellow eco vents unlocked, we take the zoomer back to Mountain Pass and blow up some rocks to get a hidden power cell. Then we take the minecarts towards the level I hated the most as a kid. Buckle up.
I'll let you in on a little secret.
Spider Cave has given me untold dread over the years. I mean, the spiders aren't as scary as in, let's say, Tomb Raider 2, but come on, they're spiders. In all seriousness, it's not why I get queasy feelings when I think of this stage. This is a huge level that can be overwhelming at first. Where do I start? The wooden logs have been infested with these caterpillar-type lurkers. Use yellow eco to get rid of these pests. Good thing we went to Snowy Mountain first. You'll most likely spend some time finding everything in this first cave. There's a room with a giant robot. This is where my trouble began. Today I think the platform challenges aren't a big deal.
I remember a few playthroughs where I was missing like one orb and just couldn't find it.
I spent like way too much time searching for, you guessed it, one little orb. And where was it? Somewhere where you even couldn't see it. The Spider Cave. Yeah, that one. What a sneaky orb. One of the power cells is obtained by swinging from pole to pole. His arm strength is admirable. Then there's a spider tunnel that gave me a mildly hard time. It's not that hard, but I was clumsy. A personal highlight is the pitch black cave where we have to hit crystals to light the way. Oh, I haven't mentioned the dark eco crystals yet. We have to destroy 4 of them for a power cell. What's up with the camera? This isn't supposed to happen. God damn it!
You failed me.
This part's not rocket science, but keep in mind that you start from the beginning if you die. One final challenge. You have to grab yellow eco and run out of the cave as fast as possible to destroy a box in Volcanic Crater containing a power cell. Time is airtight, so it might take a few tries. Just don't die here. You'll spawn at the beginning of Volcanic Crater and have to make your way back to the Spider Cave past the minecarts. So annoying. With many years of experience, Spider Cave ain't that bad anymore. I used to hate it and considered it to be the hardest stage for the longest time. I hate the Spider Cave. I've bested my fears. Now I like the overall moody atmosphere with a palette of blue, green, and purple colors. We're done here, so it's time for another ride with the zoomer. Lava Tube is the toughest driving section yet. As before, we need to drop the vehicle's temperature by slamming into cooling balloons. And as usual, I'm grabbing the collectibles first, even if that means dying a few times. At one point we need to shoot at power spheres to open a door. Thankfully there's a checkpoint here because the next part is wild. There are mines to avoid and rails to jump across. The heat is manageable here, thank God. I made it to the end only to discover I was missing 4 orbs. Oh no. I figured the best way would be to teleport back to the Red Sage's hut and start over. Lucky me found the orbs right away. Then I killed myself and teleported back. Lava Tube is a nice change of pace after 2 relatively slow levels. I'm just a sucker for the driving stages. Kira is devastated. Her father has been kidnapped too. Good thing we're right in front of Goal and Maia's Citadel, the final level. The goal is to free the 4 sages. The central chamber leads to 3 branching paths that we can visit in any order we like. It has some interesting platforming elements like spinning cut-out circles and dropping floor tiles. This right here is a highlight. Can't get enough of it. Thus, the yellow sage is free. The blue sage is freed by making it past assembly lines. Easy peasy. Finally, we're ambushed by Citadel bunnies on our way to the red sage. Samos is at the top of the central room, which provides the final platform challenge that I quite enjoy. These are the final orbs.
Please tell me I didn't forget anything. That has happened before.
But no, to my relief, I've collected everything in sight. Goal and Maia show up and our job is to destroy them for good.
I get to help the guy that turned me into a furball destroy the only person who can turn me back!
Well, tough shit, bro. Thus, the final boss awaits, the Precursor Robot, complete with 4 phases. First, it just shoots a blue eco laser. All we need to do is shoot its eye. After each phase, Jak needs blue eco to escape an explosion. Damn, that's high. Soon, green eco lurkers crash the party, but they're easily dealt with. So are the red eco rings, in theory. Man, I'm sloppy today. Then there's the yellow eco cannon. Just avoid the blasts. Finally, Jak picks up light eco and annihilates them. Badass. Thus, Daxter has to be an oddsoul for the rest of his furry life. He doesn't seem too perturbed. The world is saved after all. By collecting everything, we have the luxury of watching the true ending. Which doesn't really tell us anything. A bright light for a cliffhanger?
Guess we have to wait for the sequel.
The final level is pretty dope. Great atmosphere, fun platforming, and probably the best boss fight in the game. Although that isn't really saying much. Nonetheless, this adventure is over.
Before we wrap this thing up, let's talk about the music and sound.
Our protagonist Jak may be silent, but there's plenty of voiceovers here. Most notably, Max Casella as Daxter. He delivered a classic standout performance which is both funny and memorable.
Hey, baby! What do you say you and I go cruising on this A-Grav Zoomer?
Rule number 1, I don't date animals.
Ah, you don't know what you're missing.
Warren Burton as Samos does a great job too, as does Anna Garduno as Kira. The rest of the cast is fine too, and even the short appearances and throwaway comments stay in your head. Like with most platformers, the sound effects are cartoony but never annoying. I'll always love the heartbeats when the fish approaches. The music is interesting. In many ways it's similar to PS1 Crash Bandicoot. No wonder it was made by the same guy, Josh Mansell. Here the music takes more of an ambient vibe and rarely amps up. That doesn't make it boring by any means. The songs flow dynamically, seamlessly when you enter a different area or get on the zoomer. For example, Forbidden Jungle has 8 different mixes if I'm counting correctly. That's crazy. Well, they're not all that different, but different enough to notice. Like they might add an instrument or something. I think that's such a cool gimmick. The darker levels have music that pushes your auditory experiences in the right direction. Misty Island feels mysterious and moody. Spider Cave does too, but that one also has a groovy bass line that I dig. Maybe spiders wouldn't have such a bad rap in real life if they slapped that bass harder. The title tune / Sandover Village is iconic, albeit minimalistic. It doesn't smash you in the face like the Crash themes, but it doesn't need to. Lets you know what you're in for. Another calm track I'm fond of is Lost Precursor City. If I ever visit an underwater city, I'll make sure to put this song on, after I figure out the whole oxygen situation that is. During boss fights, the music picks up the tempo. Klaww's tune isn't exactly heavy metal, but the beat moves the song along nicely and gives you just enough energy to defeat that annoying prick. I can't name one single track that I'd remove, but it's not like the music sticks out all that much either, which makes it a bit hard to put my favorites together.
I came up with a few, so let's check out my top 3 songs from Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy.
Number 3. I can't really explain why I'm so drawn to this song. Sonically, it just hits all the right buttons for me. The dark bass, the industrial sounds, the sense of urgency, it blends together so well. Number 2. This one brings me back to when I first played this game in 2003. Its calm and peaceful vibes are so inviting. I could see myself listening to this track on a beach, bobbing my head along with the little shakers and hand drums. Why haven't I done that yet? Number 1.
My favorite tune has to be the one that plays when you're on the way to the third main area.
Yep, that still holds true. This is by far and without question the best jam on this joint in my humble opinion. With its breakneck speed and its jangly bells, it could be a Crash song, but it fits perfectly here too. It makes the great zoomer chase even more exciting and is a standout track to me.
Let's wrap this up.
It doesn't matter how many times I play this game, it never loses a shred of its appeal. I've blown through the whole thing in one sitting many times. This run was 2 sittings. It's just hard to put down. I'm a sucker for collectathons like Spyro the Dragon, so this is right up my alley. Collecting everything is such a hoot. Although I admit that missing a single orb and having to search for it can be bothersome. The fact that a game this large from 2001 doesn't have any loading times between levels still amazes me. This way the world feels organic and well thought out. Adding to this is the superb draw distance for its time. Plus, I believe this was the first game I played that had a day and night cycle. It blew my mind. We have classic snow and fire levels that could be considered industry standard. Almost every game of this kind has levels like that. Yeah, you know why? Because they're great themes. To spice things up, the developers gave us the likes of an underwater city, a spider cave, and a swamp. The areas differ from each other enough to keep your interest all the way. Plus, I love that you can usually visit each level within a chapter in any order you like. The mini-games are mostly solid. I can see why some find them frustrating though. My standouts are the parts with the zoomer and of course Flut Flut. You adorable little thing, you. The controls are spot on, easy to learn. They become second nature after a while and you get a good feel for what you can and can't do. Today the game seems short because I know pretty much everything inside out. Back in the day it took me a long time to beat the entire thing and I remember being so invested in this world. This series wouldn't go full open world until the sequel, but this still feels more open than anything I had played before except for maybe Driver and Driver 2. In retrospect, Jak feels like kind of a leftover from the old days of silent protagonists. I don't mean that in a bad way.
I won't go into my opinion on the sequels here, but for this game in particular, I don't think a speaking protagonist was necessary.
That's what Daxter was here for. I guess for some people the experience could get dull without him after a while, but I'm not sure. If there's any weak spot, you might argue that the story is forgettable, but I personally don't mind. Gameplay is much more important, and as you know by now, here the game excels. Along with the fitting soundtrack and solid vocal performances by the entire cast, it makes for an unforgettable part of the long gone but beloved PS2 era. As of the recording of this video, this is without a doubt my #1 Jak game. Compared to the rest of the series, this is a pure platformer and that just fills me with joy. But who knows, maybe that'll change when I eventually review the rest of the games. Someday. Today you can download the game on the PS Store, and if you're a fan of games like this, I think you won't regret giving it a shot.
The first Jak and Daxter has gone down as an essential game in my collection. It's one of my all-time greats and my love for it will never die.
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 8 of season 4. Feel free to rate, comment and subscribe. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.